Hey everyone, this is Steve from GamersNexus.net, and I am joined by Paige Dino Pillow Spears.
Hi everyone.
And today we're talking about Titanfall, which is the upcoming FPS mech game. This video, as you have seen, is called Everything We Know About Titanfall So Far, so it has quite high expectations. Hit the link in the description below for the full article that covers more of it in detail. So Titanfall, again, it is an FPS mech game. It is due out March 11th, 2014, and we know that you can play on foot as a pilot or in a mech, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. I want to spoil quickly that I do have some pretty cool technical details. Of course, our site is technical oriented, and those will be toward the end of the video, so we'll be talking about the native resolutions on Xbox and how it's upscaling versus the resolution on PC versus the texture resolution, so we will get into that. As far as the premise of the game, Paige, what are we looking at?
Okay, so the cool thing about what Respawn did with Titanfall is that they focused entirely on making a multiplayer-oriented game. Rather than building a campaign mode that either players don't play or get through in a matter of hours, there is some storyline involved with the multiplayer. How that kind of plays out has yet to be seen. So you're either the IMC or the militia when you're playing game types. Games are 6v6. Each player has the ability to call in a Titan. Each team gets 12 minions, which is what they're calling their AIs. There's different forms of minions. Some are smarter than others. But basically, the game at any point in time can be up to 24 versus 24.
Right. We're not too sure yet how the AI plays out, but we know that you can hijack them with a data knife, which is kind of interesting. For game mode, what we do know is that we have a hardpoint domination game mode, which is one thing, and then we have attrition.
I think that the funny part is that it's hardpoint domination, but I know hardpoint as a King of the Hill game type from Black Ops 2, and I know domination also from Call of Duty, which is interesting because Respawn is made up of people who were previously a part of Infinity Ward.
Right, like Jason West and Vince Zampella, who they left Infinity Ward kind of in a heated battle, I think, a couple of years ago, which of course pissed off Activision. So they are the ones working on Titanfall.
And this is the first game that they're making as Respawn Entertainment. So I think we're going to get a lot of those elements of Call of Duty that they've probably taken over with them from Infinity Ward. They do have the hardpoint domination game type. 15 minutes long, goes to 400 points. Same thing, you've got A point, B point, C point. You capture those specific points, you are areas, and you earn points for your team.
And attrition is like a team deathmatch.
The game type's 10 minutes long, goes to 250 kills, which I thought was an insane number, but considering the amount of minions that you have the ability to kill, the pilots you have the ability to kill, and the Titans you have the ability to kill, it makes sense. In both game types, you can't call in a Titan until 4 minutes in. Once 4 minutes hit, that's usually when all the Titans basically get called in. I'm sure later on in the game, players will stagger when they call in Titans and stuff, but for now it's mostly just, oh my god, Titans, yes! And then once your Titan is destroyed or doomed, it's another 2 minutes before you have a Titan available. As a pilot, when you die, you have the ability to instantly respawn, but you also have the ability to spawn in as your Titan if your Titan's ready to be built.
And the countdown does persist through death, so it's not like you have to stay alive the entire time. The game type's obviously pretty important. The maps are also very important, and we know that Titanfall is far more vertical based than most other games. Like Call of Duty is pretty flat and horizontal. So this kind of gives the developers a way, or the level designers a way, to fake bigness, we'll call it, of the level. They can make it appear much larger than it is because there are a lot of static objects in the background. There's static buildings. There's no procedural damage to them because Paige and I were kind of talking about it earlier. I think if you could destroy the buildings in this, as much as I would like that because Titans should be able to, it would make the level feel flat almost instantly.
It would be pretty horrible if, as you were fighting it as a Titan, you were also destroying the entire map as you went. As a player, you can actually get on buildings that are taller than the Titans. Titans are 24 feet tall, but when you've got buildings that are 3-4 stories high, you actually have the ability to shoot a Titan from a rooftop and then back up far enough that they can't see you.
Tactical advantage.
Yeah, Titans can't jump. They can only dash.
Right, and the maps we know of so far are called Fracture. There's one called Lagoon, and then there's Angel City. Fracture is a fuel depot. Lagoon is, as we know it, a rundown town. We don't really know too much about it yet. And then Angel City is the one we've seen a lot of, and that's a metropolis, basically, that's in chaos.
Yeah, Angel City is definitely a very close quarters map. Lots of corners, lots of alleys. Definitely has buildings you can get on top of, buildings you can get in. Really cool to see the parkouring abilities on that map.
Yeah, parkour, of course, we haven't actually mentioned yet until now. So as a pilot, you can execute basic parkour, very similar similar to Mirror's Edge. You can do wall runs, or there's like a jetpack.
So you have the ability to wall run, wall hang. When you're creating your pilot loadout, you get to pick 2 different additional perks to add on to your pilot. One of which is an enhanced parkour kit, which means that you can actually wall run for longer and wall hang for longer.
Yeah, that does sort of allow the pilots to get on top of the buildings and take out Titans from a bit more of an advantage. We know there are 3 types of Titans right now. There's the Atlas, the Ogre, and the Strider. As far as we know at a top level, the Strider is kind of quicker.
So you pretty much have your Atlas, which is your standard well-rounded Titan, your Ogre, which is your less mobile but takes heavier damage, and then the Strider, which is more mobile but can't take heavy damage. So it really just depends on what loadout you give the Titan. So you get your pilot loadout, and then you get your Titan loadout. Titan loadouts, you get a primary weapon, a tactical ability, an ordnance, and you get a kit where you, again, get to pick 2 perks.
Loadouts we know of so far, obviously you have your standard weapons. The rifle, shotgun, we have a pistol or sidearm, and...
No, that's a different pistol. It's the smart pistol. It's not a sidearm. I don't know if you've seen any gameplay from the smart pistol. It literally just finds the people, targets them, and all you have to do is hit the trigger and it kills them. What kind of thing is that? Why? I don't know, because we can. They made a pistol that like hones in on targets. Like, of all the guns
pistol
that could do it.
So we've got an aimbot pistol, we have a shotgun, which is an auto shotty, we have a rifle, an SMG, and what is effectively a sniper rifle, although as I understand
it's
it, Paige,
longbow DMR sniper. But what I could gather about the sniper rifle, which I already wrote an article about how you can't quick scope or no scope in this game like you can in most modern first person shooters, which I know greatly saddened me as a person. But apparently this gun shoots more like a DMR, which is a designated marksman rifle, more than it shoots like a sniper rifle.
We also have anti-Titan weapons, so kind of reminiscent of Unreal Tournament. Basically, it's an auto shotty except a rocket launcher. So it's a rapid fire rocket launcher. And then we also have
hold on. The rapid fire rocket launcher has a 25 round magazine.
This is important to note, yes. If you want to stay a bit farther away, there's the Archer Heavy Rocket.
The only bad thing about the Archer is that it is a homing rocket, so it does need time to lock on. If a Titan sees you in 5 seconds, chances are you are going to be wall splatter.
Yes, there are standard pistol sidearms that are different from the smart auto. So pretty standard pistols. Then we have tactical abilities. We have cloaking, which we'll start with, and then we have a Stim Pack. Starting with cloaking, obviously it makes you invisible to Titans and minions, but as I understand it, it's not quite as good against human pilots.
Assuming it's kind of how the cloak is going to work in this game, where you can kind of tell when a player is invisible if they're moving, but if they're still, it's going to be a little bit harder.
The Stim Pack boosts movement speed and health.
Say you've got your parkour abilities, and then you've got the extra parkour kit, and then you've got the Stim Pack. Basically, you can run from any situation you could possibly need to.
Right, and then we've got ordinances. So we have a standard like HE frag grenade and an arc grenade, which is it's an EMP type thing.
When it explodes, it's kind of like your mini map goes away, your kill feed kind of gets all messed up, all that, whatever.
Yeah, we've also got kits. There's a power cell that allows recharging of those abilities we just talked about a little bit faster. We have explosive packs, a shield battery to kind of let your shield time, which is normally 30 seconds, it lets your Titanfall initial shield dome last longer. And then we have minion detectors, and we have the enhanced parkour kit that we already spoke about. And moving into the Titan weapon, Titans get one big gun, and then they have other abilities and kits just like the pilots do. So for the bigger guns, we have a 40mm cannon that uses high explosive rounds. We have an arc cannon that does lightning arcs between the enemies, a chain gun, which is just an 80-round machine gun or minigun, and then we've got quad rockets, just shoots 4 rockets, and a Titan rocket launcher.
So far we only know about one tactical ability for the Titan, and that's called the Vortex Shield. It's where you grab the enemy projectiles as they're coming towards you, and then you shoot them back.
Ordinances, we know of one so far.
That's the rocket salvo. It launches an unguided rocket swarm. So they just kind of go...
What does that sound look like?
Idea how many hand gestures I've made this entire time.
If you're getting in trouble, though, there's also an eject feature. So in core gameplay, you can eject from your Titan and kind of launch super high into the air, which is interesting because you can try to land on the opposing Titan if there is one. There's also an auto eject in the kit, which kicks you out automatically when the Titan is doomed. There's also a nuclear ejection when the Titan is dying, it will explode and damage those around it. There's also a regen booster to regenerate the shield a bit faster, and a survivor kit to mitigate the damage that the Titan is taking. So that's sort of what we know about the Titan weapons and the player weapons. In terms of some of the technical stuff, for the Xbox, it is likely that the game will natively run at 720p or 900p. I don't think it's going to be 1080, and that's because the developers are targeting a 60 FPS. They want a constant 60 FPS, and the consoles are obviously more limited than PCs in that regard. So it will be lower resolution and then upscaled, which might be noticeable on higher quality TVs or monitors, but otherwise should be fine. For the PC, it'll run natively at whatever resolution you tell it to run at, because that's how PCs work. Then there's been some criticism online about textures as seen in leaked footage. We can't show any of that here, but the textures generally have been kind of a lower resolution, and that has disappointed some people. I did go do some research online, and Respawn has officially stated that the textures seen in that leaked footage are actually 25% of their final size. If you have a 256 by 256 texture in the alpha, it's actually 512 by 512, because doubling the square quadruples the texel count. So that was done for distribution reasons, because otherwise the alpha file would be too big. So don't worry too much about that. Paige and I were talking kind of about the physics in the game. There aren't a whole lot of soft body physics. Everything's kind of rigid body based, so you don't really have any procedural destruction, and that is again for gameplay reasons, to keep the maps feeling large.
You can in fact crush people. I mean, that's just that you have to.
People are pretty crushworthy.
I mean pilots.
So we know the physics are pretty limited. It looks like the animations or the deaths are all animation based. I haven't really seen any evidence of ragdoll death, so that may disappoint some people, but that is going back to Respawn Entertainment focusing super heavily on gameplay and mechanics. So that sort of concludes most of our Titanfall coverage. I know there's been some interest in competitive gameplay also. We will add a paragraph in the link in the description below for the article to speculate on competitive information. Paige, anything you really want to...
I was just really sad that we forgot to talk about how Oddball would be a really fun game type in this game.
Let's talk about that. So why would Oddball be a fun game type?
Could you imagine if you could only play Oddball with the Titans? So it's literally the Titans are the ones carrying the Oddball around rather than the pilots? Because would you imagine these insane cross map throws from Titan to Titan? How fun would that be?
That would just remind me of the days where you have the two jocks throwing a football and you can't do anything about it.
It's a giant game of monkey in the middle.
Once again, everyone, thanks for listening. Hit the link in the description below for more details. Be sure to check out our Patreon page if you haven't already, and subscribe if you liked it, and we will see you all next time. Peace.
Bye.